Well, quite a bit ago, we had a trivia question, or we had a question here on the program when we had Dan Severn on the show. Who has the better porn stash, him or Don Frye? Let's get his opinion on that matter. Dan said he did. Let's get Don's opinion on this. Don Frye joins us here on Shambala Sports Radio. Don, it's a pleasure and honor to have you on the show tonight.
Well, you're damn right it is. So, what the hell are you doing talking about my mustache again already?
Well, I don't know. I mean, like I said, there was a debate when we had Dan Severn on. He said his blows yours out of the water.
His blows, I'll tell you that. That's the rumor around the campfire. I don't know it personally.
Dan Severn is a great guy, but I will tell you though, you've got Tom Selleck beat.
Well, hell, I got my horse beat, man. My horse borrows hair, when it gets cold.
So Don, how you doing tonight? I know you just got back from your daughter's parent-teacher conference, correct? How was that?
Pretty good. I insulted the teacher right away, so probably my daughter will probably get expelled tomorrow.
Did you give the teacher the stare down?
No, I just snuck up behind her and choked her out, shit. That's the way to go.
Now, Don, you're part of the Shark Fights announcement team. How did that come about?
Well, Warren and I have been commentating the fights on radio, on ESPN radio, last few of them. So they just decided to do a pay-per-view, and so they wanted me and they wanted Boss Rutan to, double up and get her done. Shit. I guess Warren ain't pretty enough put on TV, so.
He doesn't have the stash.
No, hell, nobody does, man. Come on. I got enough hair for, the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders.
Now, looking at Shark Fights and what they've done over the last few years, are they on the verge of breaking into, not necessarily the big time, but very close to it, becoming possibly not a regional, but possibly a national promotion?
Well, everything's going to be decided on September 11th. That's going to be the true tale of the tape. If they do it right and the fighters fight correctly and the broadcasters announce it correctly, then the fans will take it. Shit, right now they're running a good solid third in the United States. So the deal is to step up to second.
What are some of the fights on the pay-per-view, Don, that us, the fans, should pay a special interest to?
Oh, hell, you got Trevor Prangley's fighting, shit. That old South African's a tough old boy. Geez, they don't grow them soft down there. Them boys, they grow up fighting. And then, got Keith Jardine. That's going to be a hell of a barn burner. I'm looking forward to that one.
Yeah, it's quite the main event. I mean, you got two guys with verifiable experience in the sport going head-to-head. Now, Don, if you had to make a prediction right off the bat, who would you give the advantage to in that fight?
Well, I got to go with Jardine. For one, he's from the USA. So you always go with the USA boy. And, he likes to bleed, so it's going to be a hell of a fight as long as he can finish the fight before he bleeds to death, and Prangley likes to cut people, so it's going to be an interesting bout.
Absolutely. We're talking to Don Frye here on Shambala Sports Radio. Scott, you had a couple of questions for Don?
Yeah, you have probably one of the most legendary highlights from Pride, where you just stood across and now I looked at his name not too long ago, and I can't remember it now. And you
Takayama?
Takayama, and you just basically held each other's heads and just started punching. I can only imagine what that experience was like. Could you describe it?
You know, it's just something you don't want to wake up every day and do. I'll guarantee you that. That's a once in a lifetime fight. You know, because I've had people want us to do a rematch and ask how they thought the rematch would go. Like, you know, you just can't repeat something like that. You know, that's once in a lifetime, and that's the way you want it to stay.
You know, Scott, before I can just remember watching that. Every time I watch that highlight to that fight, I think I have two words that come to mind, and they're "oh shit." And then you had the exchange with James Thompson too, in the Pride's last fight. I gotta tell you, Don, what's how much adrenaline do you have going into these fights to where you just get up there and you guys basically beat the hell out of each other. There ain't no other way around it.
Well, that's what they pay us for. So hell, they don't pay you to go in there and pussyfoot around and dance around in a circle and try not to get hit. I mean, that's the name of the game. You're in there to get hit. You better man up, or else go do something else.
Now, did you go in with game plans into your fights, or was it just I'm going to put this person where I want him and I'm going to make him hurt?
My game plan is to destroy my opponent any way possible. And it used to be easy back 15 years ago when there's no rules. But now you gotta dance and skirt around the rules, so that makes it difficult. Hell, a bunch of my fights, I got the referee saying, you can't do that, Don. You can't do that. And, you used to be able to. When did you change this nonsense? Any more rules, we're gonna have to call it tennis.
Now, Don, you made mention of the rules changing, substantially. It's seems in this day and age to be more favoring of the wrestlers. Now, you come from a wrestling background yourself, but what are your views on the wrestlers that primarily tend to keep the fight on the ground and we'll call it lay and pray, for lack of a better term?
Oh, that's horse. Is this internet radio or what we got here, partner?
You speak as freely as you choose, Don.
Okay. I mean, checking my language. That's a bunch of horse shit, lay and pray. You're there to fight. What they ought to do in the UFC and everywhere else is bring back the yellow card from Pride. That keeps the action going. If you're in danger of losing 10% of your purse, you're going to fight. They got these guys running around and they'll take a breather. There's no lay and pray. You get after it. You're in there to fight. You fight until somebody drops. I cannot stand a boring fight.
So it poses a question, Don. Now, you're in their shoes. Boring win or exciting loss?
I'll take the exciting loss. You know that. When I fought Takayama, he became a god over there in Japan after the fight. A couple of the wrestling companies hired him and made them their world champion. And I mean, shit. And then he got commercials off of that. If you may get beat up tonight, but you have some balls, have some respect for the fighters, and have respect for yourself. And I mean, geez Louise, you can't play it safe and be a man. That's all there is to it. They say a man dies once and a coward dies 1,000 deaths, and that's the truth of the matter.
So basically, I mean, because I look at what Chuck Liddell did in his last fight at UFC 115, where he essentially went out on his shield.
Yeah, damn right. I'm happy for him, man. You want to go out in style. You want to go out with a bang, man, and he did. I mean, what is that? It's better to burn out than to fade away.
Oh God, Who said that? Oh.
The Kurgan. The Kurgan said that, man.
Oh, that's right, from Highlander.
Yeah. That's a classic. That guy's a classic bad guy, and there's a classic line.
Yeah.
That was great.
They got to repeat that. It's better to die out than fade away.
No, better to burn out than fade away.
Burn out than fade away. Gotcha. We're talking to Don Frye here on Shambala Sports Radio. Don, coming up this weekend, a pretty big fight in the MMA circles. You got professional boxer James Toney making the transition to MMA. Takes on one of your old rivals, Randy Couture. How do you see that fight playing out? Who do you got a favorite in that one? And how do you see that one going down?
What is it? James Lights Out Tony? It's gonna be Lights Out James Toney. That guy doesn't stand a chance. If it goes past the 3-minute mark, I'll be so surprised. I'll fall off my chair. I'll tell you that right now, because geez Louise, I don't know who it was. One of these shows. It was Inside MMA. They showed James Toney training. It wasn't training. He was working out, and he was barely working out. There's a difference between working out and training. And you watch James Toney work out, and then you watch Randy Couture train, and right there, that'll show you the difference. Randy's just a cardio machine, and rest for him is running 5 miles, in under 30 minutes. So, James Toney got wore out dribbling the basketball.
He's facing, I'll tell you what, for somebody that's got cardio questions, he's certainly facing the wrong guy in Couture, because Couture, that's Randy 101. That guy could fight for days.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Randy's jaw just ain't what it used to be. James Toney just throws a punch near him, he may fall over. But
in the interim that Toney does, wind up winning this fight, we've heard a lot of people say that this is the apocalypse for MMA. If Toney winds up winning this fight, what are your views on what it does for the sport as a whole?
It doesn't do anything. It opens up the door. I think what it's going to do is it's going to embolden more professional boxers, and so you're going to get more professional athletes coming into the sport, professional fighters, not just professional athletes. I mean, you got what? Who's the idiot with the Heisman Trophy from 40 years ago?
Herschel Walker.
Right. I mean, he's a professional athlete, to be sure, but he's not a professional fighter. God dang. Like I told somebody, hell, I'll put up my UFC 8 belt or my Ultimate belt against his Heisman Trophy.
Now, when that does happen, Don, if you beat him, you got to do the Heisman pose on over his fallen body. You got to do the.
Yeah, I'll do that with his head. That'll be hanging down.
I was gonna offer to send you a football. Have Mike give it to you. Mike Whitehead give it to you when he comes back to Tucson. But the head will work just as good.
Yeah, I'll just use old Herschel's skull.
That ought to be your new nickname, Don. It should be, instead of the Predator, it should be Don Heisman Frye.
I'll do that if I fight Walker, and after I whoop his ass, and I'll change it right there in the ring.
Well, there was an article. There was an article recently that Herschel is looking to fight this year.
Oh man, well, you know what? He ought to call up Gina Carano, fight her, or else some other gal. Because that's his league. He needs to fight with the women.
I don't know. I had a funny comment.
How do you follow that up? That's my question.
I don't know, though. I'll tell you right now.
If the IFL was still around, he'd be great for them.
I'll tell you right now, though. I bet you, and this is no joke, I bet you Chris Cyborg would whoop Herschel Walker's ass.
Oh my God, is she a phenomenal athlete or what? I mean, a fighter. She's a phenomenal professional fighter. She can whoop a tin can, man. I'm like, gee, she's tough. She is tough.